Now joining me via Skype from Houston, Texas is the CEO of Zoomlens Security Solutions and former Assistant Director of the State Security Service, Dennis Amatri. Thank you very much, Dennis, for talking to us on this now. Capital offense for armed banditry in Zamfara State. How do you view this?
I think it's something that should be enforced. It has been enforced before in Nigeria. Remember the days when we have the bar beach shows where armed robbers were actually being shot, people like Anini, or even going all the way back to the first bandit in Nigeria, who was Jaguda. All these are bandits that have been harassing the general public. And I think they stopped after the Barbie show when they were tying up armed robbers and shooting them. Now they're coming back with it again. I think it's good as a deterrent, because when people feel that they can actually rob or harass people, kill, rob, and nothing happens to them, I think they will continue doing it.
Okay, but this has just been taken to the State House of Assembly in Zamfara State, and banditry happened in Kaduna State as well. What about other states now? Do you think this law should also be put in place such that we don't have these situations again? And how effective will this law be when it's implemented?
I think the National Assembly, the House of Reps should go ahead and do this instead of allowing the state assemblies to do it piecemeal on their own. Let it be a national law, because this is getting out of hand. You know, crime, even kidnapping, all these things exist because there are no consequences. There are no consequences, no deterrence. You know, and people believe that for this kind of crime, which is low effort and then, of course, high yield crimes, they will continue to happen as long as people are not afraid to go into it. So I think the National Assembly should even look at it and do it across the country.
Okay, so even if the National Assembly look at it and tries to put a law against armed banditry, how effective will this be in order to in curbing this situation?
Right now, you know, the problems they are facing are humongous. Even with the efforts of the security agencies, even like the SSS, giving correct intelligence to the forces on ground, you find out that before they could even get there, they've moved, because these bandits are highly mobile and they don't stay in one place. And then we have a porous border. And, you know, these guys are just moving around. No way to monitor them. So if we put some premium on actually strengthening the policing system in the local communities, grassroots policing, I think it will help give us some good results.
So you're advocating for community policing?
Yeah, community or even state police. I've
Okay.
always been an advocate of state police, because I feel that crime is local, crime is committed local, and it should be handled locally. You cannot be handling crimes that happened in an area with an order coming from Abuja. So as long as we keep on this one, keep on this unitary system, so to say, it's not going to solve the problem. I think they should balkanize the whole idea, allow policing to go all the way down to the grassroots, and people can actually help in policing. Because come to think about it, it is the citizens that are the police. It is not just the police body that is there. The police body that is there is going to be helped by the citizens in the case of prosecution or investigations. So I think they should bring policing down to, you know, the ordinary person in the streets.
Okay, what about involving local vigilante groups in different areas in order to curb this situation?
That's what I mean by grassroots policing, where you use vigilante. You see we have a very good success when the civilian JTF was working with the military in the Northeast. So these are the same people. And I think what is going on now, even in Zamfara, for instance, because these vigilantes know the terrain. And the bandits also know the terrain very well. So if you set up a monkey to catch a monkey, I think we're in good shape.
All right, security analyst Dennis Amakri, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Well, joining me via Skype from Houston, Texas, is the CEO of Zoomlens Security Solutions and former Assistant Director, State Security Service, Dennis Amakri. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, let's look at the figures. 40,000 persons, according to reports, have been sacked when it comes to issues of banditry in the country. How worrisome has this trend How worrisome is this trend for you, seeing that just recently about 2,000 persons were sacked from their homes in 17 villages in Kaduna State?
It is a national security issue right now, whereby bandits are on the loose, and they're actually killing and sacking people all over the place. Now, this is mainly because of the way we handle it. If we are not very serious in punishing this very crime to make it a deterrence to others, they will continue.
What do you mean by seriousness? Because in Zamfara State, we are looking at capital punishment, and we have seen the results of having capital punishment. That hasn't really served as a deterrent, has it?
Yeah, you know, we used to shoot armed robbers at the Bar Beach in those days, and that was stopped, and then armed robbery continued. And it was continuing because there was nothing. Everybody feel that it's a low-risk, high-yield kind of crime. So, and the society is not armed, you know, unlike other countries where everybody carries a gun. But here, the bandits are carrying guns, they are raiding villages, and they know that nobody is going to challenge them. So they do it, and then even when the security agencies arrest some of them, they are not even taken to court. If they are taken to court, they are not prosecuted and jailed. So they feel that it's easy for them to do. And if we look at this, if the death sentence comes back again, I think it's going to deter a lot of people.
From what you have said, it seems our criminal justice system hasn't shown the capacity to deal with these issues. Is that what you're trying to point out?
Yes, I think, yeah, even talking with police officers, they will tell you that they've done their own part. The security agencies have done their own part by supplying, for instance, the SSS will supply intelligence to the police. The police and or the army will go ahead and do what they have to do, arrest some people, take them to court, and it remains in court for so long. Think about Evans, a kidnapper. You know, and these are bandits in a different form. And he's still there, sitting down there, eating his three breakfasts, three meals a day without being jailed or, you know. So these are the things. For people that are out there, they will think that, well, if nothing is going to happen to this guy and the crime is a low-risk crime, why don't I just take my chances?
So from what you have said, it shows we are not really serious in tackling these issues, but we know the economic implications, don't we?
Of course, because when you look at it, in fact, this particular crime is affecting our borderline, whereby the borders are so porous, and then all these people are coming in with all kinds of cheap materials, or smuggling is going on. The bandits are going raiding mines, especially in Zamfara State. And then, of course, it affects the economy of the country. And if you look at it, you find out that some foreigners who feel they could come and invest here feel that it's a very dangerous one for them, dangerous area for them to come and invest. So I know it's crazy where you don't have a peace of mind to carry out your business.
Dennis Amakri, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
And joining me via Skype from Houston, Texas is the CEO of Zoomlens Security Solutions and former Assistant Director, State Security Service, Dennis Amatri. Thank you very much, Dennis, for talking to us. All right, looking at all of this now, the problem of implementation is a big issue in this country. Even if the state or the National Assembly decides to put a law against armed banditry, of course, in the country, the problem of implementation is there, and so we might not see anything happen until another incident erupts in any other parts of the country. Are you concerned about that situation?
Yes, I am concerned about two main things, and one of them is the political will. Just like you said, we can have laws, but implementing those laws become a problem. So, number one, we should have that political will. And then, of course, we have to do some work on our operational challenge that, security people on the field are having. So it is very, very imperative that the government look at this to make sure that, we face it head on. And make sure that those who are even thinking about it are deterred from doing it.
All right, you also talk about security people on the field. Do you think they are equipped enough to handle banditry?
Well, they are thinly spread. You know the problem with the police right now. And that's another thing, because if we are going to really have the political will, which will include getting the police well trained and equipped, because they are spread so thin. And that's why they've always called in the military to come and help them in internal security. So that is part of the political will. Do we want to stop this or not? If we want to stop it, then train the police, equip them, and then they will go ahead and do their job. Nigerian police is known to do very well overseas, and they should be able to do that at home.
But there's the problem of the mindsets of some men of the Nigerian police force now, and of course the trust issues Nigerians have on them. How can we move from that mindset and the trust issues that we have to seeing that they are properly trained? Because despite the trainings, this mindset still persists, this attitude still persists within the police force. Mindset and the trust issues that we have to seeing that they are properly trained, because despite the trainings, this mindset still persists, this attitude still persists within the police force.
Basically, psychologists have discovered that if you train somebody, especially somebody who carries arms, and motivate them very well, their morale will be high.
In what way can they be motivated?
Yes, they need to motivate the police, because right now I don't think they are well motivated. You go to their barracks and see whether somebody who is motivated lives in an environment like that. So you have to motivate them. We keep on abusing the police. They are taking bribes. They are doing this and that. But, when you don't take care of them, they have to look for other means of making ends meet. So it is imperative for us to look at this in a holistic manner. And then, of course, like I said, have the political will to do what they have to do.
All right, so states now involving, since states do not control the police, involving the use of local policing mechanisms, the vigilante groups and the likes. Now, how can those be, do you advocate that those local policing groups be trained as well to be able to handle this situation?
I think there should be a synergy, tactical synergy with the vigilante groups. And of course, it has been proven before. They've done it in the Northeast, where the civilian JTF had collaborated with the Nigerian Army, and a lot of successes were reported. So why can't it be done again? I think if that tactical synergy exists again and get them in, train them, they'll do a lot, because they know the terrain. They know the terrain. And these bandits live around that area. They know the terrain also. That's why the policemen are not succeeding right now. So employing the vigilantes to work with them, of course, you set up a monkey to catch another monkey.
So
Thank you.
So in what way, what's the role of traditional rulers at this point now? How can they come in to curb this problem?
You know, it has been said that crime is committed locally. Crime is committed around the vicinity where the criminal himself lives. So if that is true, you know, these criminals are known. And then, of course, any traditional ruler worth its salt should know the people in his domain. And of course, the criminals are known. So if the traditional rulers are brought into play, they should be able to help the police in sorting out all these people in their communities.
All right, Dennis Amakri, thank you so much for talking to us and giving us some expert analysis on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much.